Call of Duty World War II is out, and it seems like a lot more people are playing it than Infinite Warfare. But for some, it seems like Nazi zombies is the real meat and potatoes of the game. Today on GameRanx, here are 10 tips and tricks for Call of Duty World War II Nazi zombies. Starting off at number 10, this one is pretty obvious, but probably the most important thing to make use of while trying to get as far as you can in Nazi zombies, and that's teamwork. Whether you're playing with friends or randoms, teamwork is key in making it in this game. So try to plan ahead and balance your team out with abilities and consumables that complement each other. Having someone with camouflage is definitely a must-have. It makes reviving fellow players that much more easier because when it's activated, zombies won't pay any attention to you. But when you are going to use camouflage, make sure to let your team members know, because as soon as you use it, zombies will ignore you and then start attacking whoever is closest. So make sure you're planning ahead and make sure you're all working together. And moving on to number 9, this one kind of goes in with teamwork actually. This is something I didn't figure out until playing a few rounds, but you're actually able to share your jolts, like the in-game currency from killing zombies, with other players. Having a team member who isn't well equipped or doesn't have enough or any perks really, or upgrades can really mess up your game. And if you're swimming in jolts, why not share the wealth? To do this, you hit left on the D-pad, then your character will toss them on the ground for whoever wants to pick them up. Helping out your teammate is only going to help you out in the long run, unless they're just that bad at the game, then there's probably no helping that at all. And coming in at number 8, you'll come across a few types of enemies in Nazi zombies, but the most annoying by far are the Pests, whose name actually suits them very well. These are the zombies that have no arms, that sprint after you as soon as they see you. They're pretty weak and can be taken out pretty easily, but what makes them so annoying and dangerous is that they travel in packs, and when you have a few of them on you, they can take you down pretty quick. They don't appear until like wave 5, but after that they pop up pretty regularly. So make sure you're keeping an eye out for these guys because they really suck. Make sure you're taking them out first. Next up at number 7, so while the Pests are the enemies you should kill right away, the Brutes are the enemies that you should just kind of ignore. The Brutes are the big scary looking guys that have a mace hand and that cage thing over their head. They walk around the map very slowly until they're damaged, and then they start charging whoever it is that shot at them, and they swing that mace hand at anyone who runs near them. They're actually not attached to waves, and they arrive on their own terms, and they even hang around during the little downtime that the game gives you. Seeing that they're pretty slow and they don't come chasing after you like other zombies, it's pretty easy to ignore these guys, which is good because they're pretty powerful. So if you wait until you get most of the horde down, your entire team can focus on taking the Brutes out. Seeing how much damage they take, it's smart to go for them all at once. And moving on to number 6, just like in previous zombie modes, you were able to purchase certain power-ups. Here they're called Blitz. There are vending machines scattered all across the map, and you have to drop a couple thousand jolts to pick up some of these power-ups. And these power-ups could give you increased damage or even faster revives, which I don't think I need to go into detail about why those are so essential to have. You can also purchase armor, which increases the amount of damage you can take before getting knocked down. These power-ups should absolutely not be ignored. Having increased weapon damage on top of already upgraded weapons is really going to help you out in later waves, and faster revives is really super useful as well. So if you have some extra jolts available to use after purchasing some weapons and progressing through the map, it's definitely a good idea to pick up some of these power-ups and armor. Hell, I'd even say allocate jolts just to get power-ups and armor before doing some other things with them, because being able to revive another player quickly definitely comes in handy. And moving on to number 5, speaking of picking up power-ups, blitz, perks, whatever you call them, it's important to know that when you're downed, you'll start to lose perks. The longer you're sitting there bleeding out, the more you'll lose, but you'll actually lose them in a certain order. So the most recent perks that you've picked up will actually be what you lose last. So it's a good idea to buy your best and most wanted perks last. That way, if you're sitting there bleeding out, you'll lose the perks that you don't really care about as much first, leaving your best ones still active once you've been revived. And moving on to number 4, you may have noticed that you aren't able to cancel your reload by sprinting while you're playing zombies, which is really weird because there's a way to actually turn it on in the regular multiplayer but not in zombies. But you are able to go into the settings in multiplayer, and that setting will carry over to zombies. So in multiplayer, you have to go to settings, then you go to controls, then you go to the very last thing on the list. It's called Hustle Sprint Cancel. Then once you enable it, you're good to go. But do take note that this only works in multiplayer with the Hustle basic training. So just be aware that it may or may not mess with how you play multiplayer if you use that perk. And moving on to number 3, the mystery box has always been the go-to way of getting really good weapons. It goes way back, but this time around in Nazi Zombies, you don't necessarily need to hit this box to get good weapons. The trench shotgun and the BAR, for example, both of these weapons can just be found on the map, and once they're upgraded, they're pretty powerful. So maybe don't spend so much time locating the mystery box every time it disappears, and also don't waste so many jolts gambling with the mystery box just to, maybe get a really good weapon. You're wasting time and money, both of which you need to be successful in Nazi Zombies. Next up on number 2, your sheer skill at getting headshots isn't going to get you as far as you think it would in Nazi Zombies. While skill is definitely an important factor, so is upgrades. You were able to upgrade weapons in previous zombie modes, but this time around it's a bit more complicated. You have to actually unlock the upgrade machine. You can find this machine in the torture chamber that's attached to the mortuary. You'll see this gigantic cage over it, making it impossible to reach, but to unlock it, you have to find the switch in the torture chamber that opens up 3 yellow pipes. You then need to find those 3 yellow pipes, slide down them, and then flip the other 3 switches. Flip those and then you have access to the upgrade station. It doesn't cost too much to unlock the ability to use, so it's a good idea to do it earlier on than later, because around wave 20 or so, the zombies start to take more damage, so you're really going to need that extra firepower to take them out. And finally, at number 1, Nazi Zombies actually has an ending, and to reach that ending, you need to complete a series of objectives. So if that's your goal, it's smart to prioritize completing objectives over taking out the waves of enemies. Zombies become faster and stronger with every wave that you complete, and faster and stronger zombies obviously makes completing objectives harder. So it's a good idea to kill just enough zombies to get the amount of jolts needed to progress to whatever the next objective is. This way you can finish objectives before getting to later waves where the zombies get more annoying to deal with. And that was 10 tips and tricks for Call of Duty World War II Nazi Zombies, but we want to hear from you, so meet us down in the comments and let us know what you think. Do you have any tips that you'd like to share with us? And how many of you have actually reached the ending of Nazi Zombies? And as I'm sure you already know, hitting the like button really helps us out, and if you're new here for some reason, we put up videos like this every single day, and the best way to get them is by subscribing to the channel. And as always, thank you for watching, we really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.